Okay, right, my name's Paul, and I've come up from Sussex. I direct a charity called Stay Up Late, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the work that we do, and how it can connect with the work that you're doing in Bradford. So I'm going to talk about the charity and also a project we run called Geek Buddies. And it's going to be a talk of two halves. The first half is going to be about the overall work of the charity, trying to shape the way social care works, and the second half is going to be the practical work we do with our Geek Buddies project, and there'll be an opportunity for you to ask me questions about how that works during that. So this is off a poster that we often show. Imagine if you had to leave every night out at 9:30. And when we showed that, we were at Glastonbury Festival recently, hence why my hair's still a bit red. When we have that poster up and people who have no idea of what social care is about come up to us, they go, well, what's the issue here? And we say, well, you know, this is a common thing. If you need support to go out in the evening, your night ends generally at 9 o'clock. That's our experience. That's what we see a lot. And then we have people in social care saying, 9:30, that's quite late, isn't it? You know, and it shows you how we're lowering the bar on expectations. So people with no connection with social care are appalled and see this as some sort of human rights issue. And within social care, we've just become used to it. So we're challenging this and saying, nights out shouldn't have to end at 9:30. I always say there's two reasons why I go home early. One is I'm knackered, and the other is that the band's crap. You know, and that's the only two reasons I go home. So our charity came about, and our story started because I was in this punk band, Heavy Load. Has anyone heard of Heavy Load? Fantastic. And it's funny actually, because some of the things that Bill and Adelaide have been saying have resonated with the story of Heavy Load. So Heavy Load started because is it boomy with the microphone, or is it? It's all right. It's all right. Shall I move away there? Okay. Will it? Okay. So I was a support worker working in a not-for-profit housing provider. Jim, Simon and Michael all had support from that organisation. Me and Mick were support workers. One day, Jim and Mick were having a conversation. Jim had a guitar he used to strum in his bedroom. And Mick said to him, is there anything you'd like to do with your guitar other than just play in your bedroom? Jim, he's a man of few words, he said, I'd like to be in a band. What Jim didn't say was that I want to play 2 Glastonbury festivals, release 3 albums, play in New York, Berlin, Copenhagen, and write a theme tune for a Channel 4 drama series. And none of that is nonsense, that all happened. But Jim just said, I want to be in a band. And thinking about that thing, the individual gifts that the band members have. So Michael, the drummer, he has an incredible style of drumming. It's totally unconventional and means that when you're playing, you actually have no idea what's going to happen next. And that became a signature part of our sound, how everything would fall apart and then come back together again. It was so exciting. Simon, he's just got an incredible, he's very funny. He's got an amazingly warm personality. He's also a genius at swearing, and one-liners. So, you know, that if you're in a punk band, that's really handy because it means that you endless materials turn into quick punk songs. And Jim So that thing of gifts of the, was it gifts of the heart? Jim is the sort of man who, he just slows me down. I'm quite a frantic, manic person most of the time. Go out with Jim, he's the sort of person you'd be walking on the downs, down in Sussex where we live, and he'll get you to notice a caterpillar or something like that. And there's a beautiful moment in the Heavy Load film where it shows what he's like, and he just really slows you down, and it's just lovely to spend time with. So we were playing disability social clubs and things like that down in Sussex, and then this film crew got in touch with us and said they wanted to make a film about us. They followed us around for 2.5 years, and they made this film, Heavy Load, and it was a feature-length documentary that came out at cinemas and on the BBC and out on the TV in the US. And it just told the story of our rather dysfunctional band and our crazy little world that we lived in. Afterwards, Jerry, the director, actually said he thinks it's probably just a film about 5 blokes going through a midlife crisis. It's that sort of film. It doesn't ever touch on what is it like to have a learning disability, but it does touch on what is it like to live within a social care setting. And I'm going to show you a couple of clips to illustrate that in a bit. Incidentally, just before Christmas, on the BBC website, Mark Kermode, the film critic, was talking about his top 5 documentaries of the 21st century, and our film is one of them, so do check it out. And one of the stories in the film that came out was how we set up the Stay Up Late campaign. So that had this issue of people leaving nights early had an impact on us as artists. You know, it was like we would just about get on stage and half the audience would leave. And I always say that we never for once considered that they were leaving because we just got on stage and we were just about to unleash this onslaught of swearing, noise and chaos at them. We always assumed there was some fundamental flaw in social care systems that meant that people had to leave early. When the film came out, we discovered that we were right and the quality of our music was nothing to do with it. And so Stay Up Late was really a call to action to say people deserve a choice about what time they go to bed. People are adults. Adults with learning disabilities should not be told that they have a bedtime. That is infantilising and dehumanising. And that's us. Our last ever gig, we played in the Paralympic Games on a stage in Trafalgar Square. So that was a good way for us to go out after 15 years of anarchy and mayhem. So as I've said, we're a punk charity. There's 2 things we do: the campaigning and our Gig Buddies project. I won't go on to that. So I'll carry on. So this is a still from the Winterbourne View Panorama programme, showing horrendous abuse. And the reason I'm showing that is because I think it's easy for us to say, yeah, well, this kind of abuse is awful, but thankfully not too widespread. And I want to show a couple of clips from the Heavy Load film that illustrate how we can deny people's rights in much more subtle ways, and ways that are perhaps a lot more widespread. So the first clip is of Michael, our drummer, and he's telling us about his life.
music is most important and most creative. That's how I like my music. Put these CDs in. My very first record was Frankie Lemon and the Teenagers. Why do fools fall in love? I loved them. It's just because of my dad. Because my dad loved his music.
You know, my parents were quite strict about the noise we made. There was music in the house, but not loud, as Michael would have liked it.
Of all of the pictures on there, what's the most important one to you?
Well, actually, the most important one of them all is my mum and my dad. Because actually, I'm the only son. I know they are watching me from up above.
My mum wanted Michael to be independent. She really wanted him to go into the group home, but she was really upset, you know, that he was leaving home.
I have been here for 19 years, but sometimes it gets me down. It's everything, really, everything. I'd rather be with all the action is. I would like to live in Brighton. That's what I want to be.
What's next?
Just dealing with policy.
Okay.
I've got to prove myself to all the staff so I can do the cleaning, my flat, and be myself clean and support myself and all that. And doing the cooking, washing up, hoovering. I've got to do all that. So then I should move out to Brighton then. I just wanted a girlfriend in Brighton, and only if I can be socialised. Socialised is going out to meet a girl and going clubbing and pubbing and all that. That's how you could get a girl. And that's my kind of people I like.
Michael last went through Newcastle with the band. It's nearly 400 miles from his home, but from the window of the van, it seemed to us all a kind of paradise, where beer flowed in the River Tyne, bands played all night long, and everyone stayed up late. Once a year, Michael has a review meeting with his staff and family. Newcastle was on the agenda.
Moving on then.
What changes you'd like, yeah?
The changes I would like to make. I look forward to visiting Newcastle, and I would like to make friends there and possibly live there.
Why would you like to live in Newcastle?
I just wanted to go there.
So if you moved to Newcastle, you wouldn't see us, or Carol, or Ron,
See anyone, would
or
you?
Lorraine, or Alan, would you?
The council won't take you on unless you've got a seated family in Newcastle. They won't provide you with housing unless they know you've got good contacts around you. It's not even worth trying because the council won't just house somebody to live up there on their own with no support and no family. It wouldn't happen.
I used to be a baby, a child, teenager, and now look at me now. I'm getting older. I am middle-aged, in the 40s at the moment. I'm just no one.
So it always upsets me that scene. You know, Michael's a man who he doesn't always talk obviously about what he wants in life, and you have to peel away at what he's saying. So when he said, "I want to move to Newcastle," absolutely the right question is, why do you want to move to Newcastle? But not asked in that way, as a rhetorical question, saying, you know, that's just not going to happen. It's to find out what it is that he's identified about Newcastle that he thinks will meet his needs, and then what his support network can do to enable that to happen, not to crush him. And I think when I show this clip, a lot of people feel quite upset about it because I think they recognise how easy that is to do to people, just to crush their dreams. But at least you can see his face in the door of his oven. You know, what's the point in that? So this will sort of mirror some of the stuff Bill's already talked about. But when we've been doing some workshops over the years and talking to people with learning disabilities to find out what it is that they want from their lives. And we've come up with this thing called our manifesto for change, or sometimes we call it our manifesto for the ordinary. What people have said they want is they want to be able to choose their support staff, they want to have happy staff, they want to be able to choose their friends and have a social life, choose where they live, have relationships and the right to a sex life, be able to choose their bedtime, to have to choose how they spend their time, to be active in their communities, have proper paid work, and not have bad stuff said about them in the media. To contrast that, last year, is there anyone from the CQC here? I always check. The Care Quality Commission brought out their State of Care report, and in it said, good quality support doesn't need to cost anything, and I don't disagree with that. And then they went on to qualify that by saying, so for example, we've seen people being supported to hand out cups of tea to the residents or the post and things like that. And, you know, of these 10 things that people have told us, nobody said they want to hand out the post or make people cups of tea. You know, this is real life. That's what people want, and that's our challenge, is how do we support people to live real lives. And this is, I haven't got stats, Elaine, from the Coldale part of this, but this is some stats that came from the Hertfordshire bedtime audit, where the social work team descended on a series of different support settings to find out what was going on at 8:30 on one evening. And these are the 21 residential places, units, I think that was their words, not mine. They found at 8:30, 21% of people were in bed awake, 17% asleep, and 43% were in their nightwear. In one extreme case, there was one place where the manager, she had her slippers on and her curry, her takeout on a tray, all ready by the TV. Everybody else was tucked up in bed at 8:30. So, we've also been doing some workshops at conferences with support providers and people with learning disabilities to find out what are the blocks to people having these real lives. And we constructed these walls of the immovable objects that are getting in the way, and then we set about having discussions about trying to deconstruct these walls. And the top blocks that we found that are getting in the way are support providers being afraid of risk and the fear of scrutiny. So that might be from the Care Quality Commission or from commissioning teams, or as we're now hearing from the general public and the media, if people are spending personal budgets on things that are deemed inappropriate. Local leadership and work cultures, so you can see amazing support within the same provider as you can see some really bad support. And from the film, I'd say Michael wasn't getting the support that he deserved, but within that same provider there was some brilliant support going on as well, and it all seemed to hinge on who the manager of that service was and what their culture was like. Staff not wanting to be flexible, so I was doing a talk in Motherwell where I was talking all about stay up late, and there was a person sat at the front and they just went, well, that's all very well, but I'm not working beyond 10 o'clock, whatever you say. So, I'd say somebody with that attitude is probably in the wrong job, I would say. A lack of imagination around community-based activities, and we've started to explore that today. The lack of resources, so funding always comes into it. And in particular, to stay up late, commissioning of services with people saying that they weren't designed for people to stay up late. In West Sussex, where we do quite a lot of work, the commissioner there was telling me because of funding cuts, they're not actually, they can't actually provide support that enables people to have social lives. They can just do sort of bare bones support type activities, and I'll come on to our response to that in a bit. We've also talked to people with learning disabilities to find out what's stopping them being active in their communities, particularly in the evening. And we did this with Brighton University, and they said they obviously need support to go out, general support. People are scared of some parts of our city in the evening. Sometimes that's perceived fear, sometimes it's real. I don't know what Bradford's like, but there's a certain street in Brighton, West Street, on Saturday night, you don't really want to walk down after 10 o'clock at night. It's a hell, and it's just like drunk people everywhere fighting. Stuff around confidence and motivation and people's mental health issues, just getting in the way of them getting out, not having anyone to go with. I don't like going to see a film or a gig on my own. I like to share it with somebody. I like to talk about what I've seen. Not everybody's like that, but a lot of people are. There's also a lack of information, accessible information about just knowing what's on, knowing where cheap activities are or even free activities. They're all over the place, but if you don't know how to access that information, it's very difficult. And then also obviously the stuff around transport, accessible transport, and being able to get on buses and things like that at night. So this is some more statistics that we use. So this is the crowd at Glastonbury a few years ago, and what I say is, imagine that that's the population of people in the UK who learn disabilities, 1.4 million people. Well, generally, if that was typical of the crowd at Glastonbury, half of those people couldn't possibly be there. And this is based on some research that the Learning Disability Coalition did before austerity really hit. They found out that 47% of people said they spent most of their time at home, 51% said they feel lonely, and 64% don't see their friends. So that social isolation issue, we now know is a bigger risk to health than obesity or from smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's published research. And so in a sense, we have to take this issue of social isolation and not being able to be active in your community whenever you want really seriously. And I would say, if it's having an impact on someone's mental health, then isn't that a safeguarding issue? And should we be treating it as a safeguarding issue? And I always quote this old punk at these times as well. Mother Teresa said the most terrible poverty is loneliness and the feeling of being unloved. Don't worry, Bill, I've got some more pop quotes. So now I said I was going to talk about our Gig Buddies project. And Gig Buddies is a practical solution. So part of our work is challenging social care systems and being quite disruptive in the way that we talk and think to try and make change. We also run this project called Gig Buddies, and Gig Buddies came out of a conversation we had at a trustees meeting one day, when a trustee said, you know, I bet there's people driving to gigs and they've got spare seats in their car. How can we enable people with learning disabilities to fill those spare seats so they can go as well? And this set me thinking about how we could develop a project that was all about linking those communities of interest that Bill talked about. So whether people are into punk or ballet or walking on the downs or going knitting or fishing or whatever it is, how can we connect those people with other people who share those interests? And that's what Gig Buddies does. Now this is the social care jargon slide. It's a volunteer-friendly project, seeks to build community capacity, enabling people with shared interests, networking, asset-based way, and then blah, blah, blah. It's intended on blah, blah, blah. Now, can you imagine, it does all that stuff, it does promote positive physical and mental well-being, and it's all about building on people's strengths. But can you imagine being at the back of a sweaty gig, which we do, with our information stands, trying to recruit new volunteers and using that kind of language? Frankly, it doesn't work. So we call it Gig Buddies. People understand that. Also, people with learning disabilities understand this as well. So we do all of that stuff, but it's in the background. We don't talk about it too much. This is a diagram that we have on our volunteer training for our volunteers. So as I said, Gig Buddies, all it does, essentially, it matches up a volunteer with a person with a learning disability who shares the same interests, and then they go out and they do mainstream activities together in the community as a one-to-one, as friends. And this is a slide that we show to an exercise that we do with our volunteers at our trainings. We get them to think about themselves in the middle of this circle. That's them in the middle, and we get them to write in the middle circle names of their family members and people who are central to their life. So that might also be, if they're of faith, it might be God, or things like that, things that are absolutely central to them. But in the next circle, we get them to write down their close friends, those people that we share times of joy and sadness with, and are very close to in life, and go to in times of crisis and joy. Then in the next circle, we've got people we have a shared interest with, so that might be people who are in our place of worship, or in a choir, or band, or rugby team, all of those sort of things. And then the outer circle is people that pay to be in your life, so like your hairdresser, or it could be a plumber, or a therapist, anything like that. And then on the outskirts, you have people you know but not by name, so people you might see in the street every day and you nod to, but you don't really know who they are. So we get them to write down all these names in the circles, and then we get them to feel distressing thing. We ask them to rub out the yellow and the orange circle, and we end up with that. And we do that to illustrate what life looks like for a lot of people with learning disabilities. Not everyone, but a lot of people. There's a big gap. They don't really have many people in that area of close friends and shared interests. And the reason we do that is to illustrate to volunteers the important role that they have in connecting people into their communities and hopefully facilitating friendships. So the volunteer relationship isn't just about having a friendship on a one-to-one. It's also about people becoming part of a scene and getting to know other people who are interested in that kind of music or whatever cultural activity it is. But to be fair, this also goes for support staff as well. You know, we were talking earlier at our table about how somebody might have it in their support plan to go out and go to the cafe and have a cup of tea. But really that's not about going to the cafe and having a cup of tea. It's about going to a specific cafe and becoming known and perhaps starting to get to know the names of other locals in there as well and feeling connected in your community. And the danger is we can become focused on the task, getting a cup of tea, and not on what the real purpose of that activity might be. The other thing about volunteering is this is a terrible visual pun, but we try and cut through as much of the red tape as possible. It's about trying to make the act of volunteering as easy as possible as well. I think there's 3 reasons people don't volunteer. They don't know what to do, they don't have the time, or they just don't want to. Well, there's nothing we can do about the people who don't want to. But people who don't know what to do or don't have the time, well, what if we can turn an activity that they already enjoy doing into a volunteering opportunity? So if they like supporting the local rugby team or football team or going to see bands, what if they could take somebody with them as a friend who can also enjoy that as well? That's essentially what is behind the whole project. And consequently, we end up recruiting our volunteers from different places than perhaps you might expect to recruit volunteers. So there is a certain element through the online volunteer bulletins and things like that. But we also get quite a lot through pubs and venues, just by us talking to them and us running event stands. And then word of mouth grows as well. So now quite a lot of the volunteers are because other people have told them about it And almost maybe the pinnacle of that so far for me this year was watching one of our volunteers headlining the John Peel stage at Glastonbury on Sunday night. He's the bass player in Metronomy who were playing, and he found out about us through somebody else who I'd been talking to, and she told him, and he thought it'd be a good idea to get involved, and it just sort of snowballed that way.
What's the difference between online and social media?
Like, like we've got like our local volunteer bureaus and volunteers, and, those sort of volunteer notice boards and things like that. Yeah, we do also do a lot of social media.
Well, it's not that big, 6%.
No. I mean, it's hard to know because you create noise one way, and it's hard to know where the and the other thing about Big Buddies is it's about enabling people to pick their own label. So here you've clearly got two heavy metal fans, and we can't tell by looking at them whether they have diagnoses or support need of any kind, and that really doesn't matter in the community. What's important is that people can say, I'm a heavy metal fan, and that's the tribe that I'm going to identify with. That's the label I'm going to pick for myself, not one that somebody else is going to give to me. And this is one of my favourite bands, the Flaming Lips. And if you've ever been to, has anyone been to a Flaming Lips gig? It's utter chaos. There's giant balloons falling out of the skies, streamers flying off, the singers running around inside a giant hamster ball across the crowd, or riding on a giant unicorn with rainbow wings and flashing lights everywhere. It's hilarious fun. What if you don't like loud music, flashing lights and crowds? It doesn't matter. Big Buddies is not about forcing people to go to gigs. It's about enabling people to say what their gig is. So we have buddies, two women, and in fact the volunteer is the singer in a punk band, and she's been in a punk band since the 70s. She's got a hardcore punk. She now works for the city council in Bradford. But their buddying relationship is her and her buddy. They go out to tea rooms and eat cake and walk her dog Eric around the park, and they have a very gentle relationship that way. Other buddies like going night clubbing. Some go to watch football matches. A lot go to music, because a lot of our works come out of the music scene. But it really is about saying what your gig is. And I was just saying that whilst our charity is called Stay Up Late, we don't care what time people go to bed, as long as they are able to make a choice about what time they go to bed. And we could have easily called our charity Choice and Personalisation, the charity, but we don't think we've had quite agreed to it, hence Stay Up Late. So here's some buddies. This was at, we've been going 4.5 years now, and this is at our third birthday party. But this picture in the bottom left-hand corner, I love. This is what it's about really, just in a pub, they're there eating pizza, drinking beer, chatting about, it's Halliday as well, because we don't let our volunteers drink, but that's the only rule. And they're talking about heavy metal, planning their next gig, they've got the phone out, seeing what's coming up. That's what it's all about. It's just that natural relationship. We also aim to have the project and the charity run by people with learning disabilities as much as possible. So this is our advisory group, and they're known as the Storm and Thunder team. That's the name that they chose for their work. And members are trustees. They help run our annual general meeting. They meet every month to overview our project. And we've now got a splinter group come out of that from participants who identify as LGBTQ+. They name themselves the Wild Rainbows, and so they're more focused on issues affecting that part of their lives as well. There's some more buddies all over the place. And so when we started Gift Buddies, we thought it seems like a really good idea to do this in Brighton, and we were quite surprised to find that it doesn't exist, or didn't exist at the time, in any other place. So what we've now done is we've created this sort of franchise called Gift Buddies in a Box, and we've worked with the council in Calderdale to set up Gift Buddies there, and we're working with councils in Croydon. I'm not too sure if that's official yet, but it is now. Portsmouth, and also organisations in Norwich, in the Midlands, and with Edinburgh, and also we kicked off all of this thing of franchising it out with an organisation in Sydney, in Australia. And what we've done is we've tried to put all our learning and all our resources into one place so that we can support other organisations to really just sort of hopefully hit the ground running and get Gift Buddies going where they are as soon as possible. When Bill was talking earlier about this thing about change being a slow process for people, and an image that always inspires me is an old image from the 70s from a fanzine called Sideburn. I think it's called Sideburn. And they had this image called the 3-chord trick. And it's this scrappily drawn picture that says, here's a chord, here's another, here's a third, now form a band. And that's the way I like to do our work. And I think that's the way that we ought to work, with that sort of urgency and very much learning while we're doing something. And that's certainly been the way that we developed this franchise model. I'm not an expert on social franchising, but I'm more of an expert than I used to be. This is a really depressing picture. Does anyone like McDonald's? Put you on the spot. So this is a depressing picture. This is a heat map of your proximity to a McDonald's anywhere in the UK. Although the Isle of Wight seems to have got a lot further away than I remember it being. And this is a map of where we are with Gift Buddies at the moment, of how we're starting to spread our work. And there's a lot of other ones that potentially could come on as well. And we're hoping to be able to work in Bradford to get it going as well, as a practical answer to this problem of social isolation. So that's the end of my talk. But if you've got any questions about some of the practicalities of how we run Gift Buddies, please let me know. Going to go for lunch.